Picture this, mate. You're hiking through the Aussie bush near Gosford, eucalyptus in the air, cockatoos squawking, the track crunching under your boots. You push past a rock ledge, then freeze. On the sandstone in front of you, rows of carved symbols. Not Aboriginal rock art, not colonial graffiti, Egyptian-looking hieroglyphs. In New South Wales, how did they get here? Who carved them? And what story are they trying to tell us across oceans and millennia? Stick around. By the end, you'll question what you thought you knew about history. And hey, tap like now, so this mystery hits more curious minds. Let's dive in. G'day, legends. Today we're taking on one of Australia's most argued about puzzles. The Gosford Glyphs, tucked inside Brisbane Water National Park, roughly an hour north of Sydney. Since rumours kicked off in the 1970s, the site's been a magnet for hikers, skeptics, romantics, and the genuinely curious. On one side, you've got scholars who say, relax, modern hoax. On the other, researchers and enthusiasts pointing out odd details, phrasing that sounds ancient, ceremonial cues, and weathering patterns that aren't easy to fake on a weekend. Think of it like finding your nan's photo in a stranger's family album. You know there's a story, but it doesn't fit the labels. Today we're going to walk the track together. What the glyphs say, why people think they're real, why others say they're not, and what the rocks themselves whisper when you listen closely. Ready? If you've never been, imagine the approach. The path narrows, light filters through tall gums, cicadas hum like 1,000 tiny generators. The sandstone corridor appears, two facing walls, pitted by time. Then your eyes adjust, and lines snap into focus. Birds, reeds, cartouche-like shapes, vertical stacks of marks that look like they carry grammar and breath. You catch yourself tracing grooves with a finger, feeling the difference between shallow scratches and deep cuts. Some carvings look crisp, others wear a thin skin of lichen and patina, the slow badge of weather. It's eerie, not a museum with captions, but the bush itself, insisting there's a message. And that's the first hook, place. We expect ancient stories in libraries and documentaries, not hiding behind Banksias and brushed turkeys. When a story chooses the wrong postcode, our brains ping. If these are modern, someone staged a great performance. If they're old, then the stage is our backyard. One thread you'll hear goes like this. The glyphs tell of two Egyptian princes sailing far from home. Disaster at sea, a wreck, an inland trek with the dead. One prince, often named Nefertiti in retellings, dies from a snake bite. The survivors carve rites to Ra and Khnum, asking safe passage for his spirit. Whether you buy it or not, it's a compelling human picture. You can see the scene. Men, sunburnt and salt-crusted, carrying a wrapped body into a foreign, humming forest. They press blades to stone, recording rank, cause of death, funerary words that should have been written on limestone along the Nile. Instead, on Australian sandstone. Here's why that matters for retention. This isn't only about are they real, it's about grief, duty, and memory. If you've ever put flowers on a grave, you understand the impulse. That emotional bridge keeps people watching while we pivot to the messy part. The translations. Back in the 80s, an enthusiastic translator took a swing at the markings. He wasn't formally trained, and critics say he mashed together symbols from different periods and misread basics, like letting your FIFA-obsessed mate coach the Socceroos. Lots of heart, shaky results. But then comes the curveball. Later trained Egyptologists and epigraphy nerds pointed to details that didn't line up with a quick prank. Certain forms and grammatical hints that weren't widely published at the time. Those first translations were being hawked. How would a random carver know to sprinkle those in? Coincidence? Cross-contamination from reference books? Or a sign that at least some elements echo authentic patterns? It's like finding a fake Shakespeare page where half the lines use idioms that scholars only rediscovered last decade. Are we looking at a clumsy collage or a clumsy collage pasted over fragments of something older? Let's zoom out. When Tutankhamun's tomb was opened, among the treasures were boomerangs. Egyptians used throwing sticks for hunting, curved tools with aerodynamic bite. That doesn't prove contact with Australia, but it makes you tilt your head. Texts from the Nile talk about strangers with dark skin from distant lands, wielding unusual weapons. Meanwhile, Egypt's shipwrights were far from timid. Plank-built hulls, mortise and tenon joints, reed vessels built for river and sea. If Phoenicians, Polynesians, and later Europeans crossed mind-bending distances, the idea of long-range Egyptian expeditions isn't impossible, just unproven for Australia. Skeptics push back. Plausible capabilities aren't proof. Fair. But capability expands the map of maybe. And maybe is all a mystery needs to hold your focus for another 2 minutes. Next question. If the story's ancient, the stone should snitch. Weathering is like reading tree rings. Some glyphs show patina, lichen, micro-erosion, not a stopwatch but suggestive of time. Local yarns mention strange carvings before the 70s hype. Some elders recall older mentions still. Then the counterpunch, tool marks. Certain grooves look like steel chisel work, clean, narrow V-cuts versus the blunter signatures you'd expect from bronze or stone. That's a red flag. Yet others note inconsistent depth, as if multiple hands carved in different eras, some older, some newer. If you've ever patched a wall and painted over it, you know the look. One surface, layered histories. Could the site be a palimpsest? Modern additions crowding around older scratches, or is the old look simply the bush doing its thing faster than we think? The stone doesn't testify, it hints, and that's infuriating and addictive. Picture a young archaeology student, let's call her Sarah, trudging in for field photos. She expects to debunk it in an afternoon. Then the hush of the corridor hits, and the camera hangs from her neck a little longer than planned. Some signs look cartoonish, some land with a thud in her gut. This bit feels older. Later, her supervisor says something worth carrying. The best mysteries don't prove we know nothing, they prove we don't know enough. That line lives rent-free in my head because it reframes the whole debate. You don't have to pick a team to be mesmerized. You just have to stay honest, curious, and careful with sacred places. A quick word on country. Brisbane water sits within lands cared for by Aboriginal custodians for tens of thousands of years. Whatever these carvings are, ancient, modern, or a messy mix, the surrounding landscape holds stories far older than pharaohs. Don't scratch, don't pry, don't improve the site. Photograph, marvel, leave no trace. Mystery thrives without vandalism. And here's a thought experiment to carry out. If tomorrow a single line of text proved the glyphs modern, would the site stop being powerful? Of course not. It has already become a mirror, reflecting our hopes, our biases, and our hunger to belong to something grand. So where do we land? Two big possibilities. Sophisticated modern work, maybe layered over time, borrowing ancient forms with surprising accuracy in places. Fragments with genuine age, overwritten, misread, or half-preserved, hinting that our sea stories are bigger than the textbook chapter suggests. Either way, the glyphs force a better question than real or fake. What else have we dismissed too quickly because it didn't fit the boxes? Keep that in your pack for the next trail. All right, legends, your turn. What do you reckon? Hoax with impressive homework, or an echo from an ancient voyage that never made it home? Drop your theory below. I read every comment. If this trip through forbidden history lit you up, smash like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next Australian mystery.